say it never rains in Southern California, but it's pouring in the Bay.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to The Secret Services. I'm going to be your host, Quintari Shakir. Please go to www.blackspectrumnetwork.com to purchase a private psychic reading. Also, please be aware that only half of this video is going to be available on YouTube. The other half will be available on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Black Spectrum Network. And for just $5, you can get access to this video and more about the Black and other videos specifically about the Black community. With that being said, when this video will be posted to the YouTube account might be a few months. So with that being said, we're going to get right into it. I've already shuffled my personality card, so I'm just going to start with the personality reading on Sandra Bland. With the cards that I get for Sandra Bland, the first card I get is the Mother. This is all to say that she was incredibly nurturing. She was unconditionally loved, and she was an unconditional lover. She also wanted to be a mother. I don't think that she had any children, but I do hear that she wanted to be a mother. She had plans to have children. I'm also hearing that she cared a lot for young children, and that they liked her. That she was one of those people that children gravitated towards her. I wouldn't be surprised if she was a child of Yemaya or Yemaya. But with that being said, this is what the Mother card indicates. The next card is the Gambler card. So I don't know if Sandra Bland was a Sagittarius, but I do know that with the Gambler card, it speaks about her being someone that always trusted and followed her intuition. She took risks. She was a hard worker, and she was known for being a hard worker because, like Olivia Pope, she trusted her intuition rather than the facts that were always in front of her face, and that's what she was known for. I get the card for the Child Divine, which is speaking about her being someone that she had a childlike innocence, a childlike spirit. You know, in the Bible, it says that you should approach God with the heart of a child. Therefore, you're a better learner and a better student of the Spirit. With that being said, she was not someone that would readily, she tried to readily defend herself at all times. I get that she would allow, I know that she was a member of a sorority, so I wouldn't be surprised if her line sisters were more in your face or more confrontational than she was. Nevertheless, it was her innocence and her purity that gave her this connection to the divine consciousness, and that connection allowed for her to have this, as I spoke about before, allow for her to have this deep connection to children. I get the card for the Martyr, and this is saying that Sandra Bland was someone that defied all odds and defied the odds that were against her. I hear that there were a lot of family firsts for her. I hear that in her, particularly in her family, was that she was one of the first to. She was one of the first to achieve the level of success that she had as far as completing college, and then going on to, I hear that she had plans to then enroll into graduate school, or she was enrolled in graduate school, some sort of graduate program, but she was about to go, she was going to further her education, and it was all done to set a new standard in her family. And the final thing that I hear about her being the Martyr is that she was very spiritual. In terms of like her being Christian, and I feel that she was always going back and forth, not always going back and forth, but she was going back and forth with, acting like a Christian versus like being a Christian. So, the Christian as a character, but then there's Christian as a title. And I feel like she was struggling between the title and the character somewhat. The Exorcist card is saying that she had she did have some self-destructive tendencies. It's saying that she was hot-headed and hot-tempered, but this is all to say that I don't think that she was outward with it. Much rather, I think that she was someone that could hold grudges against you. And again, she did expect for other people to, help her out. Like she's very cooperative. I wouldn't call her codependent, but she's incredibly cooperative. So she doesn't handle her problems alone. She doesn't face her challenges alone, and she's very inviting. She was always very inviting of support. So now I'm about to shuffle my cards, and I'm about to ask some very important questions surrounding her death. So the first thing that I'm about to do is I'm about to perform an oracle reading, and this oracle reading is going to tell me about the spiritual vibration around Sandra Bland when she was arrested. So the first thing is I get the law of correspondence, and her challenge or obstacle is the Clemson. The law of correspondence is speaking about her having thoughts. It's speaking about her thoughts not corresponding to her actions. It's talking about what you draw to you is who you are. So it's saying that this particular encounter was divinely inspired. So I think this police encounter was supposed to wake her up. I think that she was aware of the racial injustice, like she was aware of the racial injustices in the United States, specifically the racial injustices that target Black women. But the challenge or obstacle for her was that I saw that she had issues with sleeping or interpreting her dreams, but there was also and there were problems that were plaguing her that were also showing up in her dreams as well. I'm getting that Sandra Bland, around from just what these cards are telling me, is that she was struggling through some very personal issues regarding like finances and personal issues, I think involving like a relationship of some sort. Beneath her, I see a health condition that she was enduring that required the use of medicine or herbs. I'm also seeing that this condition was caused through backbreaking labor. So I'm hearing that this was something that was psychologically related. I get the card for recycle, which is talking about her repeatedly returning to negative people or negative situations. So I do feel very strongly that the aggressiveness of this encounter with this man was not the first time that she's been aggressed by a man before. I don't think that she was in the wrong in this particular encounter, and actually Spirit is saying that she was not in the wrong. But I am hearing that this encounter is part of a larger pattern where trouble had been following her. And I think that she was always supposed to be, remain more humble in situations like this, be more quiet, don't talk back sort of thing. But I don't think like I said, in this situation, she wasn't wrong, but I feel like this was, the reason that she had this encounter is because these problems, she just never addressed problems with her decorum or how she interacted with people. I get the card for faith. So this is talking about she had a lack of faith in overcoming different obstacles in her life in regards to finances and things that needed to be paid. And then I get the Abatala card, which is speaking about her collecting intel or gaining knowledge. And also it's talking about her, wanting to pursue higher education. I said this before, actually. But with all that being said, just from these cards, this is what I see. It's just like in that moment, this is what's on her mind. She's like, God, please let everything work out. I got some bills that I need to pay and I want to go to graduate school. And I feel like she was just trying to get her life together in that moment. Now I'm going to shuffle my oracle cards this time to see what was going on with the officer, Brian Insignia. Okay, so Brian Insignia, who was the officer who illegally pulled over Sandra Bland, and that is empirical fact. It has been proven in court that it was an illegal stop. So with the spiritual court card and the karma card being over each other, the spiritual court and the karma card are saying that there was a feeling of revenge that was driving him over the cliff, like his ancestors felt in some way they needed to protect him. He felt threatened by her in some way, and it's also speaking about his ancestors wanting some sort of devotion to him. Okay, so what I'm saying, okay, y'all got to get off this tip where you think that your ancestors are all good people. I've said this before, that some of y'all have weak ancestors. They are weak. The reason that you're broke is because your ancestors are weak. And so you have to understand that your ancestors were real people, and they weren't good-hearted. And if they weren't good-hearted people, they just weren't good-hearted people. So yes, sometimes your ancestors can support what you all feel is bullshit. But with that said, there's no difference between the prostitute, the principal, the priest, and the politician, because in some way that they're all corrupt. From some vantage point. So with that being said, he felt like he was completing the mission of his ancestors. The karma card is saying that he had a feeling of revenge that was driving him over a cliff, where I feel like he was aggressed by a black woman in the past, and he was like, this isn't going to happen again. I'm going to get her. The card for lust is speaking about an intense desire or a yearning to possess something that's not designated for you and completely out of your price range, which is talking about this illegal stop. So it's saying that the feeling that was driving him over the cliff was a lust for power, not a sexual lust for this woman. I get the Oya card, which is talking about the cemetery gates being open and wreaking havoc on someone's life. So this is speaking about his ancestors coming through to create chaos in her life. I get and using him to do it. I get the card for remembering, which is the retrieval of a memory or an experience from the past and bringing it to the present. This is speaking about a time where he felt there was some injustice that he experienced and he had to correct it. I get the card for Dambala, which is talking about great energy to do good or ill. It's also speaking about a morally bankrupt person that is creating chaos at home or at work. So with that being said, all of these cards are saying to me that in this particular traffic stop, he's felt disrespected. His ancestors or his ego were saying to him, hey, you got to get that bitch and you got to get her out that car and you got to make her respect you. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now we're about to get into so those are some of the spiritual elements of what was going on in that particular encounter. The first question that I have is what was going on? Was the information used by the Waller County Jail was the information released by the Waller County Jail used to discredit the intuitive knowing that the black community had of her death? So again, I'm gonna ask the question again so you get a clear understanding. And if you don't understand it, put it in the comments. I didn't understand the question. And then, because we're all one big family, go into the comments and tell them what this means. Was the information released by the Waller County Jail used to discredit the intuitive knowing of the Black community about her death? Okay, these cards are not supposed to be reversed. It doesn't matter if they're in reverse or not. I don't read that way. But the card for virtue, the card for failure, the card for truth is saying absolutely. The card for virtue is saying that they released this information out of haste. They released this information with a lot of passion and a lot on their mind. The card for failure is talking about the impact that this information had. It didn't have when they released this information, they were hoping to discredit that knowing. They were hoping to throw off the knowing. They're like, you all are suspicious of what happened and you have a right to be suspicious, but we're releasing this information to sway your opinions in a different way. I get the card for truth, and they were hoping that this information would not just discredit what you all intuitively know about her death, but they were hoping that this information would help you all to find a common ground. Like, hopefully we can find some common ground. Y'all feel suspicious about this. We're going to investigate it too, but we're going to meet somewhere in the middle. And that was the purpose of them releasing the videos and only portions of the video and in spoon feeding parts of the case, because this ended up becoming, they investigated her death. They investigated the jail. So they spoon fed us parts of this in an attempt to discredit our knowing, because I am Black. And they were also doing this to hopefully try to find a common ground between all of us. That, they were trying to say there's a misunderstanding here. It's not what it seems, and wait for more information to be released. And we're actually not guilty, but we are very much concerned. My next question is, why was she hanging from her cell? The cards are speaking about, and my cards is, and I think some of my cards are upside down. My cards are speaking about the reason that she was hanging from her cell. There's the cards are saying that I feel like there was an attempt. I feel like there was an attempt to sexually violate Sandra Bland before her death, and I feel that I feel like there was some there was a check-in that happened, and I feel like there was an attempt to sexually violate her, because I get the card for valor. And I speak about this card being not one just about passion, but also sexual pleasure, and going and trying to go forward on that. I get the card for the star and the card for prudence. The arithmetic of all three of these cards are saying that these things are saying that I feel like there was an attempt to violate her. And I feel like the reason that she's hanging from her cell is so that she wouldn't tell that truth. That there was an attempt to sexually violate her. The star card is speaking about, the star and the prudence card is saying something about wisdom and her trying to, it's like her trying to reach, it's like her trying to bring the truth forward to the public. So I feel like she may have said that she was going to come public with some information, or there were some things that she had noticed in the jail that she wasn't going to say. out loud over the phone, but she was just ready to she had something that she was obviously ready to say. But I feel like it was in relation to her potentially being violated or like being touched or groped in a certain way. I don't feel like it happened the day of her death, but I do feel that she had been violated there was an attempt to violate her at some point in time in the jail. Now, I know the question was why she was hanging from her cell. I feel that she was hanging up from her cell to cover up a lot of the information. It's like it's better for her to die than for her to stay alive and tell what she saw and what she had experienced. My next question is, what happened during those 2 hours before she was found in her cell? So I'm going to need to do another Oracle card shuffle on this, because, the surveillance video shows that there was this 2-hour window where there was absolutely like just kind of, there was nothing happening. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing happening. And then all of a sudden a guard rushes in and sees that she's not conscious anymore. So I'm about to do an Oracle card reading on that, and hold on just 1 second. What is interesting about these cards is that I'm going to have to decipher the message because it's on the surface. It's not what it seems. Spirit is saying that she's partly, I know I said earlier that she died as a way to cover up other things that happened, but the way that these cards are laying out, they're telling me that there was someone corrupt around her, and she was supposed to have changed. She was either supposed to have changed cells or something. It's like, I don't know if she was sharing a cell with someone. I don't know if the surveillance camera footage is chopped or something, but there was a change of her. There's the card movements and changes. It's like there was a change in, like, I'll put it to you this way. I don't think that the footage that they're showing, I don't think the footage is complete. I feel like the footage has been altered. I feel like the reason that there was no movement on the camera, I feel that the footage has been extended. Someone walked into that room, and it was the riding fruit card came up, and it's talking about a stubborn attitude or temperament. So I know she had the stubborn attitude, but the riding fruit is also talking about corruption. So it's like there's a change of residence that happens. So I feel almost as though what happened in her cell didn't like her being like, I don't feel like however she died didn't happen in that particular cell. I feel that her body was moved back to that cell. I get the card for creative work, which is speaking about a project that needed to be released in order to grow her wealth. So I know that she was on the way to her job, but I feel that I don't know what sort of position that she was in, but she had to work with the energy of creation and creating things. So with that being said, what was on her mind was getting back to this job and not losing it. The responsibility card is saying that she was blame shifting. So she was going back and forth between damn it, maybe I should have just been quiet. How did I end up here? It's their fault. I'm finna lose this job. Blah, blah, blah. Why can't my family bail me out? I need this money. This, and this. The law of the divine mind is saying that she never surrendered to the unconscious. So she had all these different things on her mind, and then wham, abuse. The abuse card comes out. So it's mental, physical, or verbal violence that derail her career plans. This card also speaks about self-flagellation, which is how the excessive criticism of yourself can cause procrastination. So this is to say that both of those things happen. That she was excessively criticizing herself in her head, beating herself up and saying like, damn, I'm so stupid. I should just left this alone. Why would I do that? Why blah, blah, blah. But the abuse card is saying that someone abused her and derailed her career plans to the point that she died and she's no longer on this earth. That's why she's hanging from her cell. And no, we have an intuitive knowing to know like this is what happened. This is true. We can't trust this footage. It is chopped and screwed, and it's like it is incredibly suspicious. So I will say that there is a hint of truth to her having some psychological problems, and that yes, she was stressed. She was very stressed. And I am hearing that there was a hint of it. There was like a touch of an emotional imbalance there, but not enough for her to commit suicide with the trash bag. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to now ask the question. Why does she have so much THC in her body? And THC is marijuana. Why does she have so much THC in her body? I get the Knight of Cups. I get the Ace of Swords. I get success. And this is saying to me, I'm not sure if Brian Encenia is the Knight of Cups, but she has so much THC in her body because somebody put it in her body. I mean, it's the truth. The Knight of Cups is speaking about somebody charming her or talking to her, speaking with her, making her feel comfortable. The Ace of Swords, because they're like, she got the marijuana from someone or somewhere. So yes, she got it from someone in the jail, and she got it through an illegal means, and it wasn't through an inmate. I'm getting that the way that this man introduced the THC to her, he was successful in making it appear as though she's purely responsible for it. So I feel like they may have laced her food with THC butter and she ate some of it. That she either ate it or they put it in her body. Like they literally made her swallow it. I feel like that trash bag, I do feel like she died from asphyxiation, but I feel like the THC that was in her body was not like, that was just very fresh. It had gotten in her body. That's the reason she has it. A man put it inside of her body. He was successful at doing it. I'm going to pull a couple more cards to see what else I can see. I get the Princess of Swords, so this means that she was combative and trying to fight this man off. I get the card for wealth. I get the card for the Hierophant. And I feel like this man was paid to do this. I feel like this man was paid to do this, and I feel like because she threatened to expose some of the things that she had seen in Waller County Prison, that this was almost in order. It was like I said, it was orchestrated. I get that there were like 3 or 4 people that worked to do this. Like one person that was responsible for carrying it out, one person over the surveillance footage, security guard that was a security, not a security guard, but an officer that was supposed to patrol her. I will say this, I feel very strongly that the woman who found her body really did not have any inclination of what was going on. I do feel that is genuine. With that being said, I feel like there was a price to pay. Like, I feel like there was a price to pay here, and that, like, I wouldn't be surprised with this. I don't think this is the first person to die in that jail, to be honest with you. And I mean, I don't know, because I haven't done research. I would like for you all to research that and put this in the comments to either verify or validate my intuitive thinkings. But the Princess of Swords is like, she was definitely combative with them. I think that she was too weak to fight this person off. And the card for wealth and the card for the Hierophant are just like, there was a financial exchange. I mean, I think that it was Brian Encenia, who is the Knight of Cups, that was responsible for this. I feel like I feel like it was him. I'm not quite sure because I do know that it is a man. Tell me if Brian Encenia is a water sign, because that will give some indication into whether it was him or not. But the Hierophant and the card for wealth, the Princess of Swords, are all saying that she tried to fight this off, and there was a reward for reward that was given for her death. So my next few questions I'm going to ask, and then I'm going to close out the video. So just hold on 1 second for me. The first question that I've asked with these 6 cards is, how do Sandra Bland's ancestors feel about justice, the idea of justice is served? I get the card for truce. I get the card for the Empress. I get the card for failure. The ancestors are like, hell no, justice is not served, and they're not calling a truce on Waller County Jail, actually. Her ancestors will be terrorizing that jail. Her ancestors will, that jail will not be profitable. And also Waller County Jail will, I think for the next 10 years, they will definitely see different sheriffs being rotated in and out. And, they will be, they're definitely, going to be much, there's going to be a lot more surveillance, from the community over them. They can't, the county jail can never, heal from the stigma over it. The card for truce is like the ancestors are like, no, they're not stopping. No justice has not been served. The Empress card is speaking specifically about Sandra Bland, where they're quite upset that she was not able to accomplish her life goals of finishing higher ed, being an artist. I feel like she would have gone for an MFA. And sometimes she would have been a professor or a visual arts activist. And the card for failure is like, they're saying like, is destiny interrupted? So how could justice have been served? They're like, just if destiny is interrupted, then justice is interrupted. So there's no justice. It's only judgment that comes. The card for the Chariot, the Queen of Swords, and the card for satisfaction is like, what they are happy for. They are happy for how they are happy, and they are satisfied with the amount of support that was shown to Sandra Bland, because she's coming up as the Queen of Swords. The Chariot, the Queen of Swords, and the Satisfaction card. These 3 cards are telling me that the support from the community was inspired through her ancestors. So her ancestors are, as a collective, as part of the African consciousness collective, they are happy that the community came together for a cause surrounding their baby. At the same time, justice has not been served. The Queen of Swords is talking about Sandra Bland is on the other side trying to figure out how she's going to strike back, how she's going to get them back. She doesn't want her name to be forgotten. Okay, I hear that very strongly. She does not want her name to be forgotten. And every day she would like for you all to roast the Waller County Jail on your Twitter, roast them in memes, roast them on their Facebook. That's what she wants to happen. From the other side, I hear that. And that's what her ancestors would want to happen, because they're like, justice has not been served. Only they're waiting. They're like, judgment must be served for the next 10 years. So I can't remember if she died in 2015 or it was 2016. Nevertheless, justice has not been served, and continue serving judgment to the Waller County Jail. And if you can, share a meme about Sandra Bland. Share a meme about Brian Encina, so people can remember who Brian Encina is. He's a man who is definitely responsible for her death. I mean, he committed this unlawful arrest. So, if anything, giving exposure to her death at this time is the most justice that they will acknowledge. I mean, they're just like, the ancestors are like, we're ready for judgment. And on Judgment Day, Brian Encina will definitely be answering to her ancestors because his ancestors are weak. Anyway, is there anything else that we need to know about the Waller County Jail that we do not know? As I suspected before, I'm gonna repeat this, the same message that I had from earlier. I get the card for fortune. I get the card for the ace of discs. I get the card for the ancestors. This is saying Waller County Jail, everything that you touch gonna fail. The card for fortune is speaking about grave misfortune, bad luck, the wheels turning, but not in your favor. Okay, so it's like being on Wheel of Fortune and all the spaces are bankrupt, and then there's a free spin token. I get the Ace of Discs, and this is talking about new business partnerships, new business deals. I don't think that the state or the county is going to continue supporting Waller County Jail at the level that it should. I very much think that the Sandra Bland lawsuit drained the motherfuckers' pockets. The ancestors card these are Sandra Bland's ancestors, and they're saying that they have blocked the Waller County Jail from accessing the National Ancestral Treasury. I get the card for the Magician. I get the Princess of Discs and the Indolence card. The Princess of Discs is actually Sandra Bland. She's not an evolved entity on the other side, but they're saying that from the other side, Sandra Bland is using her energy. She's using her energy to promote awareness around. She's still trying to use her energy to promote awareness around her death. She's also using the little bit of energy that she has to make sure that the Waller County Jail is not funded until they reorganize themselves. So the jail is not going to be a good facility. In its evaluations, it will be it will be harshly critiqued, and they can always expect that they will be victims of negative exposure until they acknowledge Sandra Bland's death and their wrongdoing. A $2 million settlement is only a fraction of what Sandra Bland's life costs on the other side. That's a very small fraction of what her life costs, and so because of that, they will be paying the price in terms of the community has lost trust in them. I'm hearing that the people that do still support the Waller County Jail and that are allies to the Waller County Jail have weak ancestors, and they will be punished as well. So it's the issue of for the robber that knows that he robbed, he gets 100 stripes, but for the robber that didn't know that he wasn't robbing, he's still going to get some stripes as well, but just not as many. So with that being said, I hope that you all enjoyed this reading. Please go to www.blackspectrumnetwork.com to purchase a private psychic reading. For the people that were out there on Patreon that enjoyed this video, I thank you all for supporting me, and thank you all for continuing to support Patreon. For the people out there on YouTube that waited all these months to get the Sandra Bland video, I hope that you support the Black Spectrum Network and other Patreon exclusives that are coming out at this time. With that being said, please subscribe to this video, like this video, share this video with someone in your spiritual family. I'll see you all next time. Bye.
It's been a long time, but I still got love for you, and that won't ever change. San Jose, Southern California, but it's pouring in the Bay. San Jose, girl, I know we tried to tell ourselves those lies, like we can make it work.